Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to go over how I made this handgun firing shot. I'm going to go over the slide movement, the muzzle flash, shell ejection, all that stuff that I added digitally, and we'll get a really cool shot with a toy gun. If you're new to this channel, it's ME Studios. We do filmmaking, every aspect of filmmaking that I can think of, learn, teach to you. Um, and then also some like actual film and television projects that I've been working on. So please subscribe, it'd be really helpful, and let's get right into it. Here we are in After Effects. The first thing that I wanted to show you is how I color corrected this gun. So this is my sister's actually from a costume, a toy Glock, and I painted it black, but then for safety reasons, also painted the end orange, just so that nobody's uncomfortable, or it at least helps a little bit. Especially if you were going to film in a public space, it would be better to use something like this with a clear orange marking. So to remove that, we will create a mask around the orange part of the gun. You can be pretty loose with it. And then what I went ahead and did was tracked it. So just hit track mask and we can start getting a rough track. As you can see, I already have all the keyframes here, but you get the idea. If it ever starts to clip, like if this was over here on top of the orange part, so you'd be losing it a little bit, you can just stop the track, drag it to where you want, and then keep on tracking. Now I've already got this all done, so I'll move on to the effects part. Basically, what you want to do is get a hue saturation effect. Here, we'll do it from scratch. Effects, color correction, hue saturation. And then go to our red channel by, switching over to reds here. And then taking down the saturation and the lightness. Now, this just needs a little bit of tweaking, so we can drag this out here. Now, this isn't perfect. There are some ways you could probably do it better. You could try using a key light effect to key the red, but we get a little bit of a haze around there. But I think, yeah, it looks good. See, look, now we've got no orange tip on the end of the gun. Now, the next part I'm going to show you is making the slide rack back. And we're going to achieve that using a separate clip that I took of me holding the slide all the way back. So I'll go right to that here. So we have the footage, I think I named it plate. Yeah, Glock plate. So I want to do a new composition with this, and we make a mask. So here's my shot, me making a really dumb face. Anyway, just make a little mask around this portion. You could also key it if you have something behind it, or like just rotoscope more clearly and paint out the original. But I'm just on a flat background, and you're only going to see this for one frame. Okay, looks like I accidentally did a little bit of roto bezier, but here we go. We have our piece, and that's all we need for that asset. But we do want to apply our hue saturation effect. So we'll just go copy and paste onto there. Now it's black. Now we can just copy this clip, put it in here, and now we have our slide asset. We can put a little bit of feather on there. But we want to go to the first time when I fire the pistol. That's right about here. We want, there, my finger's pulling the trigger. So right on this frame, we want to put that on top of it, but rotating it's going to be hard. So we want to use the pan behind tool to grab our anchor point, stick it in the middle there, and then drag it on over. This is going to be a little bit big because it's I was a little bit closer to the camera when I took this video. So we'll just scale it down till it matches and slide it on top there. Now, as you can see, we've got, oops, I just moved the footage a little bit. As you can see, we have this slide back. So we only want that for one frame. So right here, we will hit Command-Shift-D or Control-Shift-D on the PC and delete all that before there. Go to the next frame, Command-Shift-D or Control-Shift-D, delete. So now, for one frame, we have that. But it's a little bit too clean because it wasn't in motion and far away. So we'll go to Effect, Noise and Grain, and throw in some grain. You can move your preview region over here, but we're just gonna set it to final output. And as you can see, we've got a little grain. I want it to not have color because it just looks slightly better, and you can mess with this a little bit. Take down some of the softness, maybe take down the intensity. But that makes it look like it fits in a little bit better. Obviously, if you shot this like really high quality, you wouldn't have this problem at all. But I didn't. I shot it at pretty low. So now we have our slide rack back, which looks pretty cool. It's timed pretty well. I have not fired a handgun before, so I do not know what it feels like. I just approximated it based on what I've seen with my acting, but it works okay for the purposes of this. If you want it to be a little bit longer, I suppose you could do that, but I think one frame is probably good. So now we have the next step done. Our effect looks good. So we're gonna go ahead and add the muzzle flash. I grabbed one off of Footage Crate, and I can link it in the description for you. Let's see which one. I think it's this one here. Let's try that. So it is backwards, so we'll go to Scale, unlink the proportions, and then put -100 there. Link them back up. Now it's facing the correct direction, and we can scale it down. Put it... I don't know if this is the correct order. Someone will have to educate me in the comments. But I put the flash after the slide makes back. No, that doesn't make any sense, actually, because the slide is for ejecting the bullet. So we'll put it right there. So now we got a muzzle flash, but it looks pretty fake right now. So we will go ahead and switch the blending mode to screen, which makes it look a little bit better. And then I'm pretty happy with that. So we'll move on to the glow. For the glow, you just want to create a new duplicate of the original layer, stick it on top here. Now you're going to get some orange, but we can fix that. Make a mask around where you want your glow to be. I don't know, I'm just being random. It doesn't matter too much. There we go. So if you make your mask not intersect the orange part of the gun, it'll look a little better. Now we'll just trim this down to one frame, just like our other stuff. And now we have our one frame of footage there. So we'll go to Effect, Color Correction, Curves, and just make a quick glow. Just adjust the brightness up a little bit. We can increase the red slightly to get a more orange look. Pull out some of that blue. Yeah, maybe that's too much. And we'll want to feather our mask. That's a little bit ridiculous, so we'll take down the opacity, and I will get rid of this crazy spike that I added. Maybe we can continue to feather that. It's all about what looks good, and I think that does. Maybe it's even a little bit too harsh. Sometimes you also have to play with it while you got to see it in motion. Now I think that looks pretty good. With that out of the way, we will go on to the shell, which is an important part of this. I realized after I'd done it that I didn't have a shell ejection, so we have to add it. I grabbed another asset from Footage Crate, also linked in the description, of this just looping shell. So we'll just drop that in there. Looks like it added it all the way at the beginning. That's fine. Now we have this giant CG shell. Obviously will look better in motion. So it is facing backwards, I just realized. So we will just flip it like so. Scale it down a tad. I think that I used 7 for my original shot values, so just keep that in mind. We're also going to want to turn on motion blur because we'll be animating this and it'll be flying really fast, and it'll look way better this way. So we want to set a position keyframe right at the beginning of where we want it to go, and also a scale keyframe. I'm going to move 3 frames forward and take the scale down 2 points to 5. No, not 50. 5. Which looks pretty good. And then we will do our position keyframes. So it's going to start there, go 3 frames forward, and I want it to go up. So we got up, and then fall back down in, just go, you gotta eyeball it. It's a little bit tricky, but you can get it if you just keep messing with it. I only set 2 keyframes, which makes this easier, so I can drag out the later one. I think that looks okay. This one appears to be a little bit too fast. So you just gotta keep adjusting it till it looks okay. To me, it looks like it's coming out of the wrong side of the gun. I think it'll look a little bit better if we perhaps mask it right there as it goes in front of the gun. I think it'll just improve it slightly. So right on this frame, I realized I can just do this in 1 frame and Command-Shift-D, get rid of that frame there. And now it's going behind the gun. Pretty simple. Now you can continue to tweak that animation. I definitely would. It looks better in my final shot because I spent a little bit more time on it. But that's the rough and dirty look. So now that we have all these elements, we're going to move on to sound design because that's what really sells it. I grabbed an sound effect off of Freesound, and I will also link that in the description along with credit. But I used that in order to create the gunshot sound. I don't know if you can hear it through the video, but we have that. I did add a reverb effect to make it sound like it's actually in my room. So the way I did that was went to time freeze on last frame, excuse me, to give myself a little bit more time to work with. And then I went to effect, audio, reverb, which right off the bat sounds better. So I'm just going to leave it like that. For the gun clip entering the body of the gun, or the magazine, please correct me if you know what these things are called or how it should work. You let me know in the comments. I know I don't know what I'm talking about. I know my stance is not great. Just let me know if you want to tell me. Don't get mad, please. So we'll go back to our Foley editing and throw in a Glock slide for the part where I pulled back on the slide to let the bullet go into the chamber. And I made this sound effect, so it's available on Freesound as well. Also linked. I did have to cut it up because I did it a little bit differently on the day. So we'll just go in between here, Command-Shift-D, break it in half. So now we got the first one lined up. There. So now the sound lines up better with me pulling back on the slide. The other thing is that I stuck the clip into the gun, and I have a sound effect for that as well, also made by me. I will, again, list it in the description. I know I'm repeating myself here. Just gotta make that line up. There we go. So now our shot is looking pretty good, and I'm very happy with it. I hope you've enjoyed seeing my process as I go along creating this shot, and subscribe to my channel, please. If, like I said earlier, we got filmmaking, low budget, all that kind of stuff. I'm sorry, not low budget. When people say low budget, they mean like $400,000, and no budget is like tens of thousands of dollars. So this is like negative budget here. Like, I don't know. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one, hopefully.